This is Ralph Brock, quarterback of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Brock has thrown more touchdown passes than any other quarterback in the CFL this year, 17. He has carried himself for another 6 touchdowns, again to lead the quarterbacks in that department. Today, Brock meets eyeball to eyeball with Jim Corrigal, Granny Liggins, Ecomet Burley, and Wayne Smith. That firm of Corrigal, Liggins, Burley, and Smith is the toughest defense in the CFL right now. They've closed down the opposition since midseason, completely dominating the conference-leading Montreal Alouettes and annihilating the Hamilton Tiger Cats just 6 days ago. From Exhibition Stadium, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers meet the Toronto Argonauts. CBC presents Canadian Professional Football, brought to you by Canadian Pacific, working for Canadians in resource development, manufacturing, and transportation. KTEL International, specialists in household and leisure time products. The Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. Only the athletes are closer to the action. Yes, it's just as cold as it looks in Toronto today, only 4 degrees. A very strong wind coming out of the east at 30 to 40 kilometers per hour. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Tom McKee, along with Don Chevrier and Russ Jackson. And you know, it seems and feels more like a Grey Cup day, but that's 6 weeks away. Speaking of Grey Cup, let's take a check in the standings and see who's going to get there. In the Eastern Conference, good job Montreal had a good first half, because they're sure having trouble in the second half. It's going to be a battle for the home field in the playoffs between Toronto and Ottawa. As far as the West is concerned, Winnipeg is searching for second place. And I asked their quarterback about that game last Monday against Edmonton, suggesting that they certainly played well enough to win, but just didn't score enough points.
Well, I think we had something to do with losing it too, I believe. You know, we had a couple of turnovers, and they scored on every opportunity they got when we had a turnover. And it put a lot of pressure on our defense when they got the ball down there close.
Every game is an important game, but especially so when you get down to this part of the season. What about today's game? Is the cold going to bother you?
Well, we played in cold weather before. I don't think you really notice it once you get started. You know, in warm-ups you get pretty warmed up, and I don't think it's going to be that much of a factor. The wind might, though.
Yeah, that could affect your passing habits.
Well, the passing game and the kicking game, you know, it's who's ever got it, it's going to be a pretty good factor for them. You know.
I want to ask you one other question for some of the youngsters who work on the weights as you do. Does this help your passing?
I feel it does. I don't know if it, as far as passing, it helps me physically to take the punishment that sometimes I have to take, you know, in a game.
Ralph Brock, the quarterback of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, will be going to Don Chevrier and Russ Jackson in just a moment when the CFL on CBC continues.
Fighting for the little guy, Robert Cooper is the ombudsman.
Tonight at 10:30, 11 in Newfoundland. Well, there's no understating the importance of this game for both Toronto and Winnipeg today. The Blue Bombers have had their defensive problems in that in the West they've given up more points defensively than anybody, and yet they've got some great individuals playing on their defensive 12. I think perhaps one of their strongest ones is this man, Harry Walters, their middle linebacker, who's been playing with stretched ligaments in a knee for the last 3 or 4 games, but he and Dan Kepley of Edmonton rate as perhaps 2 of the finest middle linebackers in the entire CFL. So keep your eye on number 52 defensively for the Blue Bombers today. It is on offense the Bombers shine most, and their offense is led by quarterback Ralph Brock, and the top rusher in the CFL last year, this man, number 27, Jay Washington. Right now, he is the number 2 man in the CFL in rushing, and he leads in the West coming into this game today. So those are 2 to watch for on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers as they attempt to get out of a log jam with Saskatchewan and stay ahead of the on-rushing Edmonton Eskimos before playoff survival here in the CFL West in 1977. The Argonauts, meantime, of course, battling with the Ottawa Rough Riders for 2nd and 3rd places right now. And Russ Jackson, I know that Winnipeg's defensive stats are a little misleading, perhaps. I think turnovers, for one thing, have hurt the Bombers a great deal.
Don, this is one thing you have to look at with this Winnipeg club. They have had 50 turnovers, which is almost averaging 4 a game. 27 of those have been fumbles on running plays, and that hurts the defense, and that can make their statistic look a lot worse in points scored against them because of the poor field position they start in many times. And I think their defense is capable of playing better than the point statistics indicate, and I think that's going to be one of the secrets this afternoon. Can the Winnipeg defense do well?
And can the offense do well against the Argonauts, who've been attacking quarterbacks left and right their last few games? Right now, let's join Catherine McKinnon for the singing of our national anthem here at Exhibition Stadium in Toronto.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all our sons' command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free, and stand on guard, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, glorious and free, we stand on guard, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Catherine McKinnon, and we'll be right back with the Winnipeg Blue Bomber kickoff in just a moment.
Ladies and gentlemen, the evolution of beauty. 1978 Monte Carlo from Chevrolet.
Well, Bernie Ruoff is getting set to kick off for the Blue Bombers as the color guard leaves the field here at Exhibition Stadium. As Tom McKee told you, a very chilly fall afternoon, a windy one. The ball is just blowing off the tee, and Ruoff has gone out to replace it. That wind will favor the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in this first quarter. They have elected to go with the wind and kick the ball to Leon McQuay, number 23, and Paul Bennett, number 20. Bennett with 195 yards in punt returns against the Hamilton Tiger Cats on Thanksgiving Day. Ruoff, a short bounding ball coming down to Knowlton of the 32-yard line. Gord Knowlton back to the 40, and the Argonauts will start from there. The ball came loose. They won't start at all. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers have come up with it. It was Gary Rosalowicz who came up with the ball. There he is, number 35. Nolan fumbling, and the Bombers get a big break early.
Well, the Bombers taking that ball and wanting to take the wind and kick it off, and Gordy Knowlton, his ball bounced off his chest a couple of times, and he finally got it. Seemed to have it under control here as he comes up, and he actually runs into number 44, Charlie Bray, his own offensive blocker, and in doing so lost the ball, and Rosalowicz makes the first turnover. We talked about the Bombers turning it over, and here we have Toronto doing it early.
Here's Brock firing it out to Patterson. Gord Patterson hits into the 31-yard line. That'll be good for a gain of 8. Lauren Richardson, the former Saskatchewan Rough Rider defender, made the stop.
The two wingback situation going to him early, but we have the offside with Jeff Hart playing his first game with this Winnipeg Blue Bomber club on offense, playing that left offensive tackle spot, number 67, and getting off the ball too quickly, probably losing the cadence that Ralph Brock was using.
Richard Crump, number 33, lines up left of Jay Washington. And also put in Tom Walker. Here is Washington outside to the 30-yard line. And then he's ridden down by that tough Argonaut defense. But it appears as though they picked up the first down. Mike Thomas, number 26, with a Toronto tackle, although he had a lot of help. Liggins and Nettles and Corrigal and Richard Lewis all in the area.
Bob Swift, number 44, the center in his 14th season in the CFL, making a good block on Granny Liggins, number 51, helping the Winnipeg Blue Bombers to that first down. And it's interesting, Don, that we talk about Bob Swift, that way back in 1964, he played offensive fullback with the BC Lions and gained over 1,000 yards.
And say, oh, fullbacks never die. They just become centers 13 years later. Brock again to Patterson. He's got him at the 23. Now that's going to pick up about 6 for the Blue Bombers. Again, Lauren Richardson. That's his coverage area. He made the Toronto tackle.
Well, the offensive setup of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers very reminiscent of the Montreal Alouettes with the two wingbacks, and number 34, Gord Patterson, starts in motion, just does a little look in and pays the penalty with that 5 or 6 yard gain, but they love to go to the two wingbacks, Scott 21 and Patterson 34. Patterson catching his 53rd pass of the season, having his best season ever with that second catch of the afternoon.
392!
This is second down and 4, Blue Bombers. Richard Crump hits hard around the 20-yard line and will be close to a first down. Richardson again, number 27. There he is, cutting him down. He hit him to about the 19. Had to be a bit inside that for the first down. We'll see as they have the first measurement of the game coming up now.
Measurement requested by the Bombers.
Don, they talked a great deal about the offensive line of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers last night as we see them stretching the chains here to see that they are just shy of the first down. It'll be third down. But the offensive team of this Winnipeg Blue Bombers this year, only Bob Swift, number 44, has not been injured and missed a game with the offensive unit up front. And last year they went the entire season without any major injuries.
Wozniacki, Elton Brown, and Tom Walker in now for additional blocking strength on a short yardage third down situation. The Bombers going for it. Ralph Brock straight ahead should have a continuance of this Winnipeg Blue Bomber drive, which all began with a fumble on the opening kickoff return by Gord Knowlton that gave the ball to the Bombers at the Toronto 39-yard line. Winnipeg, of course, as they call for a second measurement, needs this one desperately today. They lost to Edmonton last week. The Eskimos within 2 points of them, and moving up hard with Saskatchewan tied with the Blue Bombers, just 2 points ahead of the Eskimos right now. BC Lions winning last night, of course, to lock up top spot. First down it is.
Don, they didn't make that by too much. That was pretty close.
Well, here's the Blue Bomber record. They are the most explosive team, certainly, in the entire CFL offensively, but defensively have given up much too many in the way of points. Here's Washington. Out of bounds at the Toronto 15-yard line. Paul Bennett there to drive him out. Corrigal was in pursuit, along with Ray Nettles.
One of the facts that the Toronto Argonauts must do defensively is stop the two wingbacks and also these backs, Washington and Crump, coming out of the backfield. Brock, number 5, likes to go to them, and this time number 27, Washington, was held to a 5-yard game, and coming right at you, Jim Corrigal, who originally put the rush on, made him pay for that on the sideline.
Brock unloads to Washington. There's a penalty marker down as he hits into the 7-yard line. That would be good enough for a first down, depending on the nature of this infraction. The referee is Bill Dell, with Floyd Cooper, Jim King, Bob Brienne, and Jacques DeCarry on the officiating staff today. The Argonauts are offside, apparently. So the Blue Bombers get a first down. Ralph Brock leads the CFL in touchdown passes with 17. This is first down. 7-yard line of Toronto. Washington. Flag is down. He had to reach for that pitch out from Brock and then wound up losing a couple of yards.
Don, it looked like the defensive line was offside again. Granny Liggins, number 51, seemed to jump a little early, and we'll hear from Bill Dell maybe what the call is.
Offside, Toronto line.
That's 2 in a row. That takes the ball inside the 5, between the 3 and the 4.
Don, it almost looks like the Argonauts are slanting and trying to go with that motion to stop that outside play of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And this time, Granny Liggins started slanting inside the guard too quickly and tried to tiptoe back onside, but couldn't quite make it.
So it's first down right there. The ball between the 3 and the 4. Again, that trio of extra blockers comes in. Washington gets down around the 2-yard line as the Bombers at this stage indicate they'll be running it in if they can, with the blocking strength sent in from the sidelines. Lauren Richardson and Richard Lewis there make the stops for Toronto, so it's going to be second down and touchdown to go for Winnipeg. They've played 4.5 minutes in the first quarter. The Bombers have had the ball the entire length of the way. Second down. Again, Washington. They stuck him up along the goal line. He does not get over. So it's going to be back to the 1, and third down coming up. They've now played 5 minutes. There's no score. The Bombers have got a choice to make, knocking on the door. We'll see what they do in just a moment.
K-Tel presents the incredible 3-Dog Night. 20 of their greatest hits. Solid gold.
Child is black, if child is white.
The hits keep happening. 3-Dog Night, one of the hot ones. $6.99 from K-Tel. Tape or cassette, $7.99. Available at regular outlets.
Are you sure we're not lost?
Just when you think that you and your Chevy are away from it all.
Henry!
Don't be surprised to see there's a wide world of tough Chevy pickups out there. For work and for play. Chevy pickups, more than one tough truck.
Previous play, Jimmy Corrigal went down in what we call submarine, and then Nettles did exactly what the defense should do, come up and meet the offensive ball carrier who must go to the air. And here we have third down with Winnipeg in scoring position.
Last chance from the 1, Blue Bombers. Washington. Touchdown, but there's a penalty marker down. In fact, 2 of them. It appears to be against the Argonauts. Here's referee Bill Dell.
Offside, Toronto. He's crying.
So the touchdown counts. The Bombers go on top 6-0.
Well, this time Washington, as Crump did on the previous play, tried to go over top. This time Washington, not going this route, stayed down low. The defensive line submarines, and it is up to the defensive backs and linebackers to stop the ball carrier. On the previous play, Nettles was able to get up there, make the stop after the defensive line had gone underneath the offensive line. This time he was not able to get there, and Washington carried it into the end zone.
His 5th touchdown of the season. Now Bernie Ruoff, a high snap back to Brock with the point after his throw, and the Bombers lead by the measure of the converted touchdown. With only 5 minutes and 14 seconds of first quarter playing time gone. As you saw, they capitalized on the fumble by Knowlton to the 39-yard line, methodically worked their way in from there for the score. Took them 11 plays to finally get in with a touchdown scored by Jay Washington. We'll see what happens on this Bomber kickoff. It was short to Knowlton around the 30-yard line. I'm not sure if Ruoff intended it to go that way or it just didn't get off the tee properly.
Don, I think that's probably one of the situations we have today with that wind. You were mentioning just prior to the opening kickoff that the ball did get knocked off the tee by the wind, and sometimes as you're approaching it, the ball is moving, and maybe you don't kick it exactly where you want to get it. And we were talking before the game, and Ruoff likes to kick on artificial turf. He gets a look at the entire ball, so I'm sure he just wasn't going to kick that short.
It just went off the tee again.
And I think that's the problem. Maybe somebody's going to have to come up and hold that ball eventually.
The Argonauts have sent back Kelvin Kirk in place of Paul Bennett with Leon McQuay. Hurry up, Bernie, before it blows away on you. There it is, a good one. Coming down to McQuay. 5-yard line through his hands. McQuay into the end zone to pick it up. And McQuay is down. The Argonauts will start deep around the 8-yard line as he mishandled that line drive shot from Bernie Ruoff. And Tom Walker came down to put the tackle on Leon McQuay.
Oh, we had a good shot of the ball sitting on the tee, and that time it didn't move, and Ruoff did definitely kick it deep, but a line drive that bounced off Leon McQuay's shoulder pads.
The Argonauts having trouble fielding kickoffs from the Blue Bombers, and now will have the ball for the first time today. The Bombers went 39 yards and 11 plays to score. Neil Lumsden, the fullback, plows out across the 10 to about the 12. That'll be good for 4. There's Waters. We spotlighted him at the outset, number 52, the middle linebacker. They've got Bob Toogood on the outside and Bill Ferguson on the other side as the complementing linebackers with him. The Argonauts record, there you see it. They are even right now. And today, shopping for sole possession of second place in the CFL East. Chuck Ely, the starting quarterback. Good catch in full flight around the 30-yard line by Rudy Linderman. A 17-yard gain, Ely to Linderman.
Rudy Linderman, who's starting in the slot on the left side outside Peter Mueller. Peter drops back to block, and Linderman comes down here and goes across. Leon McQuay is coming across underneath him, and Linderman makes a good catch here, being hit by number 28, Chuck Wills. Really got the shoulder into him, and he hung onto that ball for the first down.
Here's the pitch to Leon McQuay. He wants to get outside and use that speed, but the Bombers don't let him do it. Brian Horosian, their top defensive back, no doubt, number 30, a real sticker, got to McQuay and contained him.
Well, I think number 23, McQuay, and number 30, Horosian, are going to see each other a few times this afternoon, Don. Horosian's the one that the defense of Winnipeg likes to have come up, and if they can turn that runner inside, he's going to make a lot of those tackles.
This is 2nd and 3, and there's the completion performance of Chuck Ely, having a good season now, despite playing hurt with a separated shoulder for 3 or 4 games. This one is complete again to Linderman, and it's going to be close to a first down near the 39-yard line. Again, Brian Horosian made the tackle, and he and Linderman have a couple of words coming out of that pileup. They're going to measure to see if it's a first down. We'll let you know how it turns out. We return in just a moment.
For guys like me who love the great smell of Brute, here's a play that goes all the way. First, you hit the shower with Brute 33 shampoo. You pick up protection against wetness with Brute 33 antiperspirant. Cut to the sink, where Brute 33 cream shave chops down even the toughest beards. and get super hair control with Brute 33 hairspray. Go all the way with Brute 33, because when you stay with the great smell of Brute, the great smell of Brute stays with you.
The Argonauts got the first down. So now from the 39-yard line, that's the point the Bombers started their touchdown drive a while back. The Argonauts continue their series of plays. Calvin Kirk is in as a wide receiver. This is Leon McQuay. He cannot get away. Good containment by Vince Faison, number 9, on the outside, the left side for the Blue Bombers, limits McQuay to an advance of about 3 yards.
Faison made the tackle for Winnipeg.
Now Stu Francis, number 58, is limping off the field, and number 52, Al McLean, will come in to replace him. Francis had an operation in the off-season and did not play the first few ball games, and let's hope that that's not a recurrence of that same knee problem he had throughout the first 5 or 6 ball games.
In fact, he was hurt in the very first game, the opener in Hamilton. That set him back half a dozen games or so. Here's Ely. Quarterback draw. It'll be first down Toronto near midfield. The Argonaut 53.
Don, you talk about McLean coming in and replacing Francis, and he was the key blocker on that particular play. He went out on the middle linebacker, Harry Walters, and he will keep Harry Walters busy. 52 versus 52, and Chuck Ely just picked the side and got the first down, gaining about 8 yards, but a good job by the rookie Al McLean. On a pretty good linebacker. Sorry, Don.
By Walters, he almost got him at that despite the block. Here's McQuay. Again, the Bombers do their job on him outside. And they corral him around the Winnipeg 53. It was Lee Bernard, number 26, getting there. And the gain for McQuay once again is 4 yards this time. So it's going to be second down and 6. It is 7-0 Winnipeg. They've played a little over 9 minutes here in the first quarter on a chilly October afternoon at Exhibition Stadium in Toronto. Billy Howard, he's getting some attention there. Neil Lumsden, the man who replaced Billy Howard, Randy Housel, number 61, came in to make the stop for the Blue Bombers and force the Argonauts into an apparent punting situation on third down.
Howard, number 73, who is playing his second game with this club, appears to have maybe been hit in the eye or just above the eye. They've got a patch up there and trying to stop the bleeding. Maybe Tom can get something for us.
On my way. I'm on my way. Let's see what Andrusician can do with this punt, because that wind is still blasting out of the east right in his face, still going 30 to 40 kilometers.
He gets it off pretty well into that wind. The 10-yard line. Rosalowicz out to the 30s. The Blue Bombers get out in decent shape. Gordon Oak made the stop. Andrusician kicked that ball, Russ, into the wind 44 yards, and it was brought back 19 by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers' Rosalowicz. So the ball at the 29-yard line. The Blue Bombers leading 7-0. Last night, BC defeating Montreal in a battle of the divisional leaders. Yesterday, Ottawa, all but ending Hamilton's playoff hopes at Lansdowne Park. Richard Crump, Matt Early, Nettles was there and then got some help from Bennett, Larry Brame. They rolled him back, and he'll get maybe 2 yards. Let's check in on that injury now to Billy Howard with Tom McKee.
He's got a cut over his right eye, Don. It's about an inch long. I think it'll take 5 or 6 stitches, and he'll have a little bit of a headache, but other than that, it's all right. It was just a split concussion type thing.
All right, this is second down and 8, Blue Bombers. Holmes to the 38, but just short of a Winnipeg first down. Jim Marshall contained him. Mike Holmes in at wide receiver for the Blue Bombers will leave Winnipeg third down and about 1.5 yards to go.
Number 15, Jim Marshall, who was in on that tackle, is down there hurt, and the training staff coming out to see what the problem is with number 15, Jim Marshall, who was picked up by this Argo club from Saskatchewan as a free agent in the offseason, along with number 27, Lauren Richardson.
Well, somebody's asked for a measurement, even though it's very obvious they've got a good yard and a half to go, but they might as well while the Argo training staff attends to Jim Marshall. A good yard and a half for Winnipeg. So they'll get a chance to use that wind to good advantage with Bernie Ruoff coming in now to punt on third down as they help Marshall off. You might see how it happened, Russ.
Well, coming inside now, we see number 15 getting in on the tackle, and maybe it was number 42, Doug McIver, who actually hit him harder than anybody else did.
Jim Marshall is the injured Argonaut player.
Tom?
Well, there are some of the contestants that are in the running for the 1977 Miss Toronto Argonaut coming up for Grey Cup, of course. I'll give you the names in just a moment. Let's watch this punt.
Ruoff with the win. Down around the 35, a good Winnipeg bounce into the 28, and that is all. Or the 25, it is Bennett. The feet cut out from under him immediately by Chuck Wills. So the Argonauts will start deep again into the wind. Tom, do you want to complete that lovely list of yours?
Yes, here's Agnes LeBlanc. Next to her is Debbie McMurray. In the fur is Julia Ann Morrison. Debbie White in the white. Debbie Maslin with the white scarf there. Laura Dixon next to her. Susan McDonald. In the white is Jacqueline Wilson and Kathy Buckingham. There they are, folks, one of those, and it's going to be tough to pick a winner out of those. Not that they're ugly, but they're all too pretty, right?
Tom, I guess we won't get any more bench reports from you. You'll be sitting up with those cute girls.
I'm going to be a lot warmer than I was 5 minutes ago.
I can't figure this out. The game is barely 12 minutes old, and Tom has got every name. He knows them all.
50! You know, the oldest is 22.
There's Chuck Ely handing off to Leon McQuay. He popped into that tackle hole very quickly, and then good reaction by the Bomber defenders. Brian Herosian coming up to fill that hole in. We'll be right back.
Coming Sunday afternoon, October 23rd, when Double Blues travel to
Hello, I'm John Huston. When I was making films like African Queen and Treasure of the Sierra Madre, we lived in a world of illusion. Most of us thought there was no shortage to space or energy on this earth. Now we're thinking differently. That's why Chevrolet asked me to look into their new Malibu, a car designed to help save space and energy. It has more front and rear seat legroom and more front seat headroom than last year's Malibu in a smaller, lighter, fuel-efficient car. The new Chevrolet Malibu in the real world of today, a car for the age of inner space.
Leo Cahill and his Toronto Argonauts trailing the Winnipeg Blue Bombers by a converted touchdown. Less than 3 minutes to play in the first quarter. And here is a fake quick kick by Neil Lumsden. Lumsden way back at the 15-yard line. Finally unloads the pass complete to Rudy Litterman. And the Argonauts get a first down. Faison finally took down Litterman. The Argonauts can't believe the success of it all.
Well, this Argonaut club with Neil Lumsden in that fullback spot have used the quick kick, and it appeared that this was to be a quick kick, and then Lumsden didn't throw it. He's looking for a receiver down here, and Elton Brown, number 71, has him dead to rights, and Neil, with the strength of the 230 pounds he carries, pulled away from the defensive tackle and got that pass off to Linderman, who made a shoestring catch of it to make the big first down. And a big play for the Argonauts, especially at this stage of the ball game going into that win.
At their own 39-yard line. Ely now finally getting some pressure. It is too low for a wide-open Peter Mueller. And it'll go to 2nd and 10.
Chuck Ely, number 18, very upset with himself, and I'm sure he'd like to play well against Winnipeg. We tend to forget, but I'm sure the players don't, that it was Brock, number 5, playing quarterback for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, that replaced Chuck Ely late in the 1975 season, and that was when Chuck came to the Toronto Argonauts as the quarterback and has been here ever since.
In fact, he replaced him midway in a game here in Toronto, and Brock brought the Bombers into a tie 2 years ago. They haven't won here since 1963 at Exhibition Stadium. Ely is denied the first down by Harry Walters.
Chuck Ely.
He picked up about 8 yards out near the 47.
Chuck Ely getting good protection. Mike Wilson, number 66, who's probably one of the best offensive linemen that's come into the CFL this time, does a little holding on number 75, Wozniacki, and gets away with it with Bill Dell standing there. But Ely had plenty of time to throw that ball, just couldn't find a receiver open, and forcing the Argonauts into their second punting situation in this first quarter.
3rd and 2. Richard Crump is back with Razalowicz around the 25-yard line. Razalowicz at his 25. Gets by McIver, lost the football. Faison makes the Winnipeg recovery. A good Bomber bounce on that one directly over to Faison, who was wide open to recover it between the 26 and the 27.
Razalowicz catching this ball seemed to get nowhere to start with. Number 42, Doug McIver, was down there. And as number 72, Peter Mueller, comes in, he just rakes the ball right out of his hands, and there was no Argonaut player around. And number 9, Vince Faison, makes the big recovery.
360!
Quick pass to Tom Scott, the 31-yard line, good for about 4. Was hit out of bounds by Richard Lewis, the Argonauts' left corner linebacker. Patterson and Scott, the 2 favorite targets in the short passing game of the Blue Bombers quarterback Ralph Brock. Scott, of course, the Bombers' top receiver in 1977.
Don, I think one of the interesting things with Scott is his average gain. Over his 4 years with this club, he's had almost an 18-yard average catch every time he's got his hands on that ball. And, you know, it's interesting that the guy who has the CFL record for that is our isolation director, Whit Tucker, who has 22.4-yard average per catch over 9 years.
Here's Brock, who's 6 for 6, flares out his 7th pass to Richard Crump. They're going to lose on that one back at the 28. Granny Liggins was there to contain with the Comet Burley, the 2 defensive tackles. It is going to be 3rd down, a long 8 yards to go, Blue Bombers.
You can't beat the quickness of that defensive line. Granny Liggins, originally on the pass rush, read the screen, and when he can get out there that quickly to take away the inside from somebody of Jay Washington's ability, you just have to admire the 4 defensive linemen with the Toronto Argonauts with their quickness and how they can take so much away from an offense.
Here's Bernie Ruoff pumping it high with the wind, not too deep. The Argonauts, Bennett moving up for it, takes a bounce out of bounds finally at the 48-yard line. And that turns out to be the final play of the first quarter here at Exhibition Stadium. And at the end of the first quarter, the score, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 7, the Toronto Argonauts nothing.
At Canadian Pacific, we're deeply involved in mining. And I'm about to give you some in-depth facts on the work of our mining subsidiary, Cominco Limited. We're one of the world's largest miners of lead and zinc. Over 8 million tons of ore a year in Canada, the United States, and Greenland. We're one of the largest producers of chemical fertilizers in North America. Coal, we mine almost 3 million tons a year. Silver and gold, 9 million ounces. But the most important fact is that right now we're exploring and developing new mines in Australia, Spain, Mexico, Greenland, the Arctic. At Canadian Pacific, we know that as long as exploration and development are at the bottom of what we do, we're headed for the top in mining.
At Canadian Pacific, we believe what we do is important to you.
Next Saturday, CBC Television Sports presents coverage of the 1977 World Student Games from Sofia, Bulgaria. Join Ted Reynolds and Don Whitman and our Canadian athletes in the World Student Games next Saturday afternoon.
Touchdown of the game in that first quarter scored by Jay Washington. Lead it 7-0 as we begin second quarter play now. First down, Toronto at the 48. The Argonauts with the win for the first time today. Ely sprints left. And he threw it out in the area of Rudy Linderman, and then a penalty marker was thrown.
I think he threw that over the line of scrimmage, didn't he?
That might well have been it. He was way out there, Tom.
The question will be whether he was over the line of scrimmage when he threw the ball, I would think.
Gene Clark has been shaken up in the meantime. So the Argonauts will likely, if the Bombers accept, lose it down for that illegal pass thrown by Chuck Ely. Gene Clark, the offensive left guard, still down, being attended to. Here's Bill Dell. So he threw the pass over the line of scrimmage, an illegally thrown forward pass. It is a loss of down. It'll be 2nd and 10 from the 48-yard line, and Clark just now getting to his feet. Well, in the first quarter, the total offense for the Argonauts distanced that of the Blue Bombers, but the Bombers did drive in 11 plays, 39 yards for the only score of the game, and Ralph Brock was 6 for 6 in passing. There's Clark.
Yeah, Gene Clark, he's was the subject of our halftime interview last week.
Peter Sorensen will come in to replace Clark.
Well, going in motion there with the rollout, Clark, the left offensive guard here, tries to get to the outside, and he gets knocked down right there by number 73, Billy Howard, who had that cut before. And Ely just stepping over the line of scrimmage here, close to that 50-yard line, with a good isolation on him, showing that he was over the line when he did deliver the ball.
Clark shaken up by Lumsden, it appeared, coming into the back of his legs. A quick kick on second down. Herosian touched the ball inside the 5-yard line, still chasing it into the end zone. And they have him around the 10. A 62-yard Neil Lumsden quick kick puts the Bombers back deep around the 10-yard line. And they lead 7-0 with less than a minute gone here in the second quarter. Ryan Herosian having trouble tracking down that ball, punted by Lumsden. Fearsome four of the Argonauts with Ray Nettles at the middle backing them up. Comet Burley, Granny Liggins, Wayne Smith, and Jim Corrigal. Jay Washington. He'll have about 5 as he gets out across the 15-yard line. Ike Thomas and Larry Brame combined to bring down Washington. He's chasing Jimmy Edwards now, and that's his current total in rushing this season.
Wayne Smith, number 77, playing some of his best football, gets double teamed here. They don't let him to the outside, with Jeff Hart, number 67, doing a good job of standing him up and getting some help with the offensive guard, allowing Washington to get to the outside.
There he is again, a penalty marker thrown way downfield. He did not get the first down. Jim Corrigal, a defensive end, made the tackle for Toronto. That penalty, whatever it was a long way from the scene of the action with the ball carrier.
Unnecessary roughness, face mask, 62, Toronto. First down.
The Comet Burley called for grabbing a face guard, number 62.
Now number 62, unfortunately, reaching in here and grabbing the face mask of the ball carrier. And that's what the unnecessary roughness is for, and it gives this Winnipeg offense a big lift coming out of their own end from the 10-yard line after that quick punt by Neil Lumsden.
The man who caught it was a good 20 yards downfield, the official. Here's the pass through everybody's hands. Nettles, Scott, and incomplete. Scott was the intended receiver on that pass thrown by Ralph Brock. That is the first unsuccessful pass by Brock today. And so far, Brock has withstood the pressure from the Argonauts defensive line fairly well, I think. Russ, he stuck to a short passing game. Corrigal and Smith and his friends haven't gotten to him.
Don, you hit the nail on the head when you said he stuck to the short game. And when you throw the ball short, as he has been doing, it's tough for that defensive line to get to him.
He gets it away quickly, not so fast this time, but it is complete to Richard Krupp. And Krupp fights his way out near a first down, maybe just short, contained by Mike Logan, who came into play when Jim Marshall was hurt. They put Ike Thomas out in Marshall's corner spot. Logan played the safety position and is in there now where Ike Thomas vacated. And this will require a measurement. 2.5 minutes gone in the second quarter. The Blue Bombers lead 7-0 on a 1-yard plunge on third down for a touchdown on the first drive of the game by Jay Washington. They're short. It's going to be third down. And it appears that Bud Riley's going to go for it. They're sending in Wozdozinski, Walker, and Elton Brown again to support the blocking on a third down gamble.
Now the first big test for that Argo defense, because if they can turn it over here, and Leo Cahill is yelling encouragement, if they can turn it around here, it's a good field position situation.
They go outside for Washington, and he picks up the first down. Dancing backwards to the 45-yard line. The Argonauts reacted well, appeared to have him contained out there, but the great play of Jay got him free for the first down. We'll be right back, but first let's pause for a moment.
At Canadian Pacific, we're in business to make a profit.
Some people think profit's a dirty word.
Oh, we're not ashamed. Profits are what keep us in business. Why, without profits, we couldn't provide the services we do in transportation, in travel, hotels, or telecommunications. We couldn't continue producing in steel, in wood and paper, in oil and gas, or mining.
Please, not so loud.
Sorry. Without profits, we couldn't provide the jobs we do, or invest in new enterprises, or even plan for the future.
John, take a look at these figures here.
So you see, to us at Canadian Pacific, profits serve many useful purposes.
Hello, accounting. It's the tax department.
Including paying taxes. Hello. Oh, thank you very much. Yes, we try to be thorough.
At Canadian Pacific, we believe what we do is important to you.
The Blue Bombers, on great individual effort by Jay Washington, get a first down from the 45-yard line. The Argonauts had him all wrapped up, and he forced his way through an opening on his own individual effort. Early motion by the Argonauts, it appears. They have Washington wrapped up this time for no gain, but two flags are down. Both indications offside Toronto.
John, I don't know whether Ralph Brock, number 5, is using a different cadence.
Offside Toronto, number 62.
That's Burley.
But again, we've got that inside going offside. Granny Liggins was having problems on the other side, number 51 earlier. This time, number 62 Burley. And both of them are so quick. And whether there's a little different cadence being used by the quarterback, making them jump early, or there's something in the offense that maybe has changed a little bit, a key that they were using that is drawing them offside.
So it's 1st and 5 on Burley's offside penalty.
360! 360!
Richard Krupp fumbles the ball. It's picked up by Jim Corrigal. And Corrigal, with his finest run back of the year, I think maybe his only one, reaches the 46-yard line.
Well, a 2nd and 5 situation. The ball carrier trying to come back against the grain, number 33. And Granny Liggins, number 51, getting up off the block, knocks the ball out of Crump's hand, and it's Jimmy Corrigal who jumps on that ball and makes like a rather large fullback here. And I like the way he's carrying that ball there.
He looks like two fullbacks, one standing on top of the other. Leon McQuay. Again, the Bombers react well and contain him. Little or no gain. It was Elton Brown, the left defensive tackle, number 71, wrapping up McQuay. Reminder that the World Series, it could be all over today. We'll bring it to you just as soon as this football game is over. Don Sutton for the Dodgers and Don Gullett, the first game winner for the Yankees, as the Yanks lead 3-1. Right here, it is 7-0 Winnipeg with the Argonauts in 2nd and 10 at the Bomber 45, and there's got to be an offside flag there. This is Chuck Ely just heading out of bounds. We got 2 penalty markers down. The first, obviously, was Bob Toogood or Jim Heighton coming in away offside ahead of the play.
And Chuck Ely really doing a good job as we listen to Bill Dell.
Offside, Winnipeg declined.
They were not drawn offside, and Chuck Ely making something out of the play. He didn't just go to sleep out there and be satisfied with the fact that they had them offside, but Jim Heighton is in the backfield here with the movement of number 8, Rudy Linderman. He came right in the backfield and was in there, but Ely made a good play out of it, getting the first down.
They took the gain, declined the penalty, and this is Neil Lumsden hitting hard around the 27-yard line. It'll be good for 3 to 4 yards for the Argonauts, who now are in their best scoring position of the entire day. They have not had many, what you would call, serious scoring opportunities.
Now, Lumsden ran out of his shoe, and he's going off the field, and Mark Bragagnola, who's had a good rookie year with this Toronto club, coming from the varsity Blues and being spotted, has a good 6+ gain per carry, which is kind of nice for a rookie running back.
It's amazing depth the Argonauts have with 2 premier Canadian fullbacks to choose from. Ely's in trouble and in the sack. Back at the 37-yard line, it was Elton Brown getting to him, number 71.
Well, Don, for the first time, the linebackers came to give a little rush on here to help that defense, and number 78, Bob Toogood, actually forced him back up into the pocket. Toogood will come into the screen from the left here. Number 78 will come on. He put some pretty good pressure from the outside along with number 75, and number 71, Elton Brown, got the pressure up the middle to put the real sack on him, and he really hit him hard that time. 78 Toogood, a veteran with this Winnipeg club, and one of the good Canadian linebackers that have developed in that Western Conference.
This will be a field goal attempt from 44 yards away. Zenon Andrusician. He's got it. So the Argonauts cut into the Bomber lead by 3 points. It is now Winnipeg 7 and Toronto 4, as Andrusician is good on his 21st field goal of 1977. Well, the Argonauts have been contained exceptionally well by Winnipeg. I'm sure the Blue Bombers had to be awfully conscious of the points the Argos rolled up on Hamilton Monday. They've been keying on McQuay. They've been containing him well to the outside. They have been able to sack Chuck Ely on one occasion. And they lead it 7-3. And starting from the 35-yard line with Ralph Brock in his first down play selection. Short pass out here again is good. Mark McDonald to the 42-yard line. It's a gain of 7 for the Blue Bombers. Larry Brame and Ike Thomas combining to bring him down for Toronto.
Well, McDonald complaining to the official a little bit, but Ike Thomas has had to move out to the cornerback spot with Jim Marshall being hurt, number 26 for the Toronto Argonauts, and it's got to be a little different for him after playing rover inside where the play is completely different. He now has to play one-on-one out here a great deal with some pretty good receivers, and they're forcing him off. They're going to hit short out here on him, I think.
Here's Washington getting good yardage, slanting right for a first down at the 52. Richardson got to him. Crump went in motion right into that area to do some blocking for him, and the speed of number 27 got him through. He led the league last year, and right now is battling Jimmy Edwards for that honor in 1977. Edwards, with a good day and a losing cause in Ottawa, went ahead of him yesterday afternoon. Again, the short sideline attempt is no good for Holmes. And it's going to be second down. Blue Bombers at the 51.5-yard line.
Well, as Holmes comes back to the huddle, this Winnipeg offensive huddle, again, I'm surprised that they're not continuing to go out to their offensive left where they have number 26, Ike Thomas. Again, on that particular play, he was giving the offensive receiver, this time Mark McDonald, 12, 13 yards as the ball was centered. And I think he's going to let him have that short stuff for a while. He's coming up playing him tough this time.
That is the 10th completion today by Ralph Brock. It is for Washington out of bounds, short of the first down, though, at the Toronto 54. The So they'll be into a 3rd down and 5 when play resumes here in just a moment.
Hey, you got a minute? I suppose you figure a big company like Canadian Pacific does a lot of good things in the country, huh? Mm-hmm. Well, jobs, services, raw materials, basic manufacturing, taxes, investments, stuff like that, you know? Mm-hmm. Well, I got an idea for you. Hey. Why don't you do a TV commercial using this painter, see? And he says, Canadian Pacific does a lot of good, huh?
At Canadian Pacific, we believe what we do is important to you.
There's a look at Lamar Leachman, the Argonauts' full-time defensive coach and part-time cheerleader. As we saw in a recent telecast in the victory over Montreal, he danced up and down the sidelines the last 5 minutes. This ball caught the wind. It's curving toward the sidelines. It is Paul Bennett waiting for it, letting the Bombers come in, and he got them. They were drawn in within the 5-yard restraining zone, and the penalty marker was thrown. Lyle Wozniacki made the tackle. Vince Faison was inside the 5-yard zone.
Number 9 at the bottom of your screen will come into the play here. Vince Faison, and Bennett draws him in. He lets him come in here, and Faison, a little concerned. It looked like he was going to pick the ball up, and he didn't, and Faison got caught inside, giving giving Winnipeg a no yards penalty, moving the ball up just outside the 30-yard line. Now let's go back down to Tom.
Well, we can't pick up what Tom is trying to tell us just yet. In the meantime, the Bombers have had an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty tacked on, likely resulting in something somebody had to say after the no yards infraction was called. So the Argonauts get way out to the 43 and will begin their series of plays there. 6:35 remaining until halftime. Wide open for the catch is Linderman, the favorite target today of Chuck Ely, and he's got about 9 yards. Merv Walker put the tag on him.
Neil Lumsden, number 32, was always recognized as a good runner in college. This time on the sprint out action, he comes up, and with the linebacker coming on, he does a good job of blocking that linebacker out, number 78, Bob Toogood, allowing the quarterback to just dump the ball into the open area where the linebacker came from. But Neil Lumsden, number 32, very coachable and has learned a great deal in the 2 years he's been in the CFL.
2nd down, about a yard to go. There's Lumsden, up close to the 1st down marker. They may have to measure for this one with 5 minutes and 42 seconds until halftime.
Don, we go back to that previous play where the ball was dumped by Chuck Ely to Rudy Linderman. That's a sign of a good quarterback. When that linebacker comes, there's an instant where the safety can't get up. The defensive inside backer, as they measure for the 1st down, can't get up to take on that initial receiver. And that time, with the linebacker 78 coming on, Ely just dumped the ball to Linderman in that open area.
He's caught all 4 Argonaut completions today. 3 from Ely, 1 from Lumsden for 43 yards. 1st down from the 53 of Toronto. Here is Leon McQuaid. Again, all wrapped up by blue and gold and white of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Bob Toogood led the thrust that time, and they'll apply a loss of 2 yards at the 51 to Leon McQuaid. We are told that Jim Marshall, I think what Tom was trying to tell us a while ago, and his microphone didn't work properly, has stretched ligaments in the knee and is gone for the day. That's Jim Marshall, not Tom McKee. Here's Neil Lumsden, midfield. A penalty marker down each side of the field now. And it appears the Argonauts may get a call back on a procedure infraction.
Well, Rudy Linderman, number 8, who's caught all those passes, missed the cadence, and Winnipeg will probably decline this penalty and make it a 3rd down kicking situation for the Toronto Argonauts.
Well, the Argonauts are used to getting a flag thrown against them.
Illegal procedure, Toronto, number 8, declined. 3rd down.
Number 8, Rudy Linderman, getting off the ball and saying, uh-oh, I made a mistake. No one else is moving out here.
A lonely, sinking feeling.
And nothing you can do about it.
As it becomes 3rd down and 8. Andrus in to punt with the wind. 4.5 minutes remaining in the second quarter, and it's 7-3 for Winnipeg. Thump swat may take a big bounce here. It does, but it's caught. Richard Crump out to the 17-yard line. A 50-yard slap shot kind of punt by Andrus, a 13-yard run back. Gord Knowlton was there on the Argonaut tackle. There's Richard Crump, who now waits for the offensive members of the team to come out and join him for a huddle for the first down play. McDonald going wide left. Holmes on the right side with Scott. Here's for Holmes. The throw is out of bounds on the Argonaut bench. Threw his hands on the sidelines. Ralph Brock. So much has been said about him all season long. How strong he is physically, how capable he is, and the great potential. Jeff Hart there replacing Buddy Brown, who's got on the Blue Bomber injured reserve list. Injuries have certainly been a factor in the Winnipeg season.
Like he was trying to turn around and kick the ball, but that Winnipeg team was right there, ready to take on Lumsden and lead them to their second touchdown. A play leading to that second touchdown, a turnover almost for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, where Brock went back, threw the ball to Richard Crump out to the left, and Crump turning upfield, again, just lost possession with no one hitting him. The ball goes free, gets away from Granny Liggins, and number 67, Jeff Hart, playing his first ball game for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, recovers the fumble. Number 62, Ecomet Burley, came in a little late. They called him for roughing, and it moved the Winnipeg Blue Bombers inside the 10-yard line. And from there, Brock made no mistake. Number 34, Gord Patterson, who's one of his prime receivers, starting at the top of the screen, delays at the line just briefly. This move, number 57 Nettles over to the other wingback, Scott. 34 Patterson just went downfield, took the pass from Brock, and got the second touchdown to give the Winnipeg Blue Bombers their 14th point. But the Argos are going to have to stop turning the ball over. They're going to have to establish something. They're going to have to establish their passing. Ely has only completed 3, all to Rudy Linderman. He must find some other receivers. And we'll be back shortly for the second half kickoff to see if the Argos can do something in just a moment.
When Bill and Kathy decided to follow the simple life, they made the move to this farm. But their simple life didn't include simple sounds. That's why they chose this realistic system from Radio Shack. It includes an STA 235, Optimus 10 speakers, and a Lab 60C changer, all for just $899. By buying this total package, they saved $140.80. Realistic for the sounds of your life.
TV journalism over 25 years. Well, when we started, we had nowhere to go but up because none of us knew what we were doing.
The great thing about working for the CBC in the early days was that it really probably was the last period where anyone could get on-the-job training.
Watch The Two-Ton Pencil Sunday, October 23rd at 10.
Well, here we are getting ready for the second half. Bob Swift, we don't have an opportunity to talk to centers too often. You guys are doing very well today.
Yeah, we're holding our own. We're picking up our blitzes. We're playing well together right now. Things seem to be going our way. We're getting the breaks.
It must be pretty tough right in the middle there.
Yeah, it's getting there. Yeah. Yeah, they're getting tough, and they're running a lot of twists, a lot of stunts. I got to go.
Okay, all right. He's gone.
So he is.
Well, they want to go, they go, don't they?
You can't stop them when they're that big.
There's a small matter of a kickoff to be dealt with here. Well, in the first half, the Bombers got 14. The Argonauts 3 points. Statistically, you can run down the list here and see there isn't a great deal to choose, except the Argos did not throw the ball very much. 3 by Chuck Ely, 1 by Neil Lumsden. The turnovers, the entire story. 5 turnovers by Toronto. And Winnipeg has done something few other teams have been able to accomplish. They have outdistanced the Argonauts in penalties, at least in the first half today. Tom Scott and Richard Crump are back to receive the ball as the Argonauts are going to give Winnipeg the ball and the advantage in wind here in the third quarter, counting on getting the wind in the fourth if they should need it then. And I would think unless things improve dramatically, they will. They trail by 11 points. That wind blowing pretty stiffly this afternoon. Here's the kickoff. Coming down to Scott. Lost it for a moment there in the sun, but has it. And is bumped out of bounds at the 21-yard line by Paul Bennett. A 13-yard return by Tom Scott.
The confidence that the Argos have in their defense is showing here. Being down 11 points, they have given Winnipeg, as you said, Don, both the wind and the ball, because if Winnipeg does come on and score another touchdown in this quarter and go ahead 21-3, it certainly puts a lot of pressure on the Argo team, no matter whether they have the wind or not in that last quarter.
McDonald wide left, Holmes wide right for the Blue Bombers. Jay Washington, their premier running back, out to the 33-yard line in the grasp of Ray Nettles, the middle linebacker, number 57. And that is going to be a gain of 6.5 yards for Winnipeg. Washington challenging Jimmy Edwards for the rushing lead in the CFL today. He's got 33 yards so far. Second down, 4 to go, Blue Bombers. Long time getting that ball in the play, and right away an immediate first tackle thrown by Comet Burley. On Jay Washington, it's going to be third down, no gain, 4 yards to go, Winnipeg.
Argos changing their defense around, and Ralph Brock trying to call an audible at the line of scrimmage, and the fans are getting on the official for the length of time they're allowing the quarterback to make those changes at the line.
Ruoff standing at the 15-yard line. Punts from the 20. With that wind driving it back to Bennett around the 25. Bennett running into a traffic jam around the 33-yard line. He was taken down by Ron Southwick, number 62. Tom?
Well, there's Brother Leo down on the sidelines, and was he hot at the end of the second quarter. In fact, he was yelling at one of the officials who told him to get back behind, within those lines that go out from each end of the bench, and he said, "I want to talk to you because I'm going to pull my team off the field." Said in the heat, of course, but he was really angry.
Neil Lumsden gets out around the 38-yard line. Harry Wallers made the stop. One of the clever lines of the first half at halftime has passed along to us. The Argonauts, with all the turnovers, fumbling, reaching for loose balls. Somebody said they're trying to pick up a loose football like I'd go after a basket full of reptiles.
Are we going to identify the person who said that?
That was Jim Proudfoot of the Toronto Star. We'll give him full credit for it.
Well, they got that Sunday paper out here in Toronto now, and he's working on Sundays.
Here's Chuck Ely on second down. He unloads a good first tackle thrown to limit the yardage by Peter Mueller and deny the first down. And way back in the area where Ely released the ball, there may be a rough play call against the Bombers. Face guard is the indication from the referee, Bill Dell.
Unnecessary roughness, face mask, number 58.
Jim Hyten, number 58, was called for face guarding.
First down for the Argonauts.
Bill Dell saying number 58 is called for grabbing the face mask at the bottom of the screen. We see him coming on here now, and he is grabbing Nick Bastaya's face mask. He's trying to get free from him.
Out of bounds. Slade Willis, the intended receiver. It's incomplete. Announcing the attendance, the Argonauts missed 50,000 by about 750 people, 49,242 at Exhibition Stadium today. This, along with the Olympic Stadium, one of the most frequently utilized sports facilities in Canada. Healy is in trouble and he is down. Wozniacki has him. Billy Howard there with him. A big loss for the Argonauts back at the 45. So it goes to third down. Long yardage of 21 yards for Toronto.
Don, as Chuck Ely goes to the sideline, Billy Howard, who got the initial tackle on Chuck Ely that time, is working against Al McLean. Gene Clark has not come back in this second half. And Al McLean, working against a guy who's been in the NFL for a few years, is going to have his problems this afternoon.
And Rosition into that stiff wind. The ball hangs up around the 30-yard line for Rosalovic. Slips off a tackle from Sovieta and then is dumped out of bounds the 35-yard line by Burley. A 34-yard punt. They've played about 3 minutes here. In the third quarter, it's still 14-3.
You never know exactly when you'll be glad you bought your winter Michelins. Maybe it'll be on a tough, icy curve. Or it might be on a snow-covered hill. But sometime this winter,
Daddy!
you'll be glad you didn't compromise on your tires. And just as glad that we don't.
We'd like to show you how much you can get out of the new Cutlass Cruiser from Oldsmobile. And yet it gives great gas mileage. It's very maneuverable, and it's easy to park, with more front headroom, front and rear legroom, and knee room than last year. When it's finished working, it goes out beautifully. The new Oldsmobile Cutlass Cruiser. Can we build one for you?
The Winnipeg Blue Bombers with a 14-3 lead, starting out of the 35-yard line. Here's Jay Washington, 11 yard, in the grasp of Granny Liggins. The Toronto defensive line reacting very, very quickly. It's going to be 2nd and 9.
Donna was talking to George Anderson. We see Longley warming up on this sideline, talking to George Anderson, who played linebacker for this team. He's had his second knee operation this year, and he was saying, you know, the difference in the defense this year, the guys are all healthy. And I think this is one of the things, the defensive line after Corbel came back with the ankle problem early in the year, have been very healthy all year.
Here's Brock slipping his Patterson upon receipt of the ball. And that likely cost him a first down. He was in full flight when he took it in. Ray Nettles and Larry Brame were there to contain him. While the Toronto front four is healthy today, they have lost a couple of key players. Gene Clark on offense, Jim Marshall on defense with injuries today. There's Gord Patterson from the University of Manitoba.
Patterson, who caught the only touchdown pass this afternoon after that fumble by Andrusician, just comes out underneath the linebacker, makes the catch, and loses his footing, which prevents him from getting the first down.
Ruoff to Kirk. And Calvin Kirk is surrounded and finally taken down around the 28-yard line by Ray Clark. 36-yarder that time by Bernie Ruoff. Toronto Argonauts, a constant source of amazement and frustration to their fans in this area. Won 3 in a row, 4 of the last 5, racked up 43 points, winning their first game in 6 long years in Hamilton just on Monday. But today, trailed by 11 to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, having scored only 3 points. Leon McQuay around the 30, and then he kept on going through a little opening to the 34-yard line where Jim Heighton finally has him. And the gain is going to be approximately 6 yards. Willis coming wide right and Kirk to the left side. Healy lost the ball and comes in to pick it up. We've got 2 penalty markers down each side of the field.
Harry Walters started to blitz from his middle linebacker spot, then came back. Whether he was called for being offside, we'll have to wait and hear from Bill Dell.
Offside, Toronto 23 and 52, decline.
Well, it's the Argonauts they called for illegal procedure. But Chuck Healy seemed to lose his concentration when Walters, we don't see in the replay here, but Walters started in over the center, didn't make it, came back, and then Chuck Healy didn't get the ball from the center cleanly, Stu Francis.
So the penalties decline. It becomes 3rd down. And Winnipeg is about to get the ball back. Andrusician below his seasonal average today by about 6 yards.
This time he catches the ball from the center.
Short one, moving up forward is Richard Crump. He wants to give the ball away. Herosian got it back for Winnipeg. Penalty markers down may indicate no yards on that kick that stopped very suddenly around the 45. A 29-yard punt.
No yards. Toronto number 42.
McIver was in within the 5-yard restraining zone. Number 42.
Doug McIver, who played for this Winnipeg Blue Bomber club and came to the Toronto Argonauts from them, in too close this time to the intended receiver, Richard Crump. But everybody seems to be having some problems out there, Don, in handling that ball. Maybe the hands are getting a little cold out there. It's pretty damp here, as well as being about 4 degrees.
Always cold down by the lakefront this time of year. Brock to Washington. Runs out of room and steps out at the 42 of Toronto. Eric Harris there covering for the Argonauts. And that should give Winnipeg a 1st down.
They're pretty close to that 1st down. I think it's going to be 2nd and about 3, Don. But I like what Winnipeg's doing. They're throwing the ball short. They know that this Toronto team is renowned for the pressure they can put on the quarterback. And only twice during the ball game has Brock tried to go deep. Both times good coverage by the defensive secondary has prevented the completion. But he's continuing to go short.
That was overthrown for Mike Holmes.
He was wide open out there in the flat, and he could have had the 1st down. And again, working on number 26, Ike Thomas, who is staying off, having to play that cornerback spot for the 1st time this year with the injury to Jim Marshall.
So now it is 3rd and 4, as I misjudged by about 5 yards the previous play for a 1st down. Inside of 10, I guess you're all right. 14-3, Winnipeg with the lead, and this is going to be a 50-yarder by Bernie Ruoff. With the win, remember, his longest this year is 49. Russ said he's gone longer than that in previous seasons. Good line. No, just off. Here's Paul Bennett. Bennett fumbles the ball and gives it up to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Richard Crump made the fumble recovery as the Argonauts give it away again. We'll be right back from Exhibition Stadium with a Bomber Drive in just a moment.
From Canada's farmlands, we have taken an almost limitless supply of food for ourselves and customers abroad. But now even these bountiful crops don't satisfy our own needs. Production acres disappear as cities spread. Abandoned farmsteads and lost production result from unplanned growth. Watch The Disappearing Land.
Tomorrow night at 10:30 in Newfoundland.
Paul Bennett coming back here, gets the ball taken away from him as he spins away. Number 43, John Bonk, seemed to pull it out of his arms, and Richard Crump, number 33, is there to take the 6th Argo turnover. And those Winnipeg Blue Bombers are getting all kinds of opportunities.
From the 15-yard line, a quick toss to 5. Patterson, touchdown Winnipeg.
Same play as the first touchdown, except he didn't delay at the line this time. He took right off from the line of scrimmage, and a big hole there with number 7, Mike Logan. Moving in is that free safety with Ike Thomas going to the outside. They're working down that middle. And this time, no delay, right off the line of scrimmage and no one around him. And you wonder again, Nettles is there, but there should be a number 7 somewhere around there a little closer.
That's Mike Logan.
Again, he's in here. He's only been with the Toronto team for a while after having played with the Calgary Stampeders last year. And we get the single point that we missed showing you that replay with the score now 21-3. And as we mentioned, with the Argos giving the Winnipeg Blue Bombers the wind in this quarter, if Winnipeg could score, it certainly puts a great deal of pressure on that Argo offense, which has not moved the ball consistently at all this afternoon, even though they might have that wind in the last quarter.
We mentioned what a big game it is, Russ, for both these teams, the Bombers in particular in the West, because right now they share second place with Saskatchewan, Edmonton pounding on their heels. The Saskatchewan-Edmonton game, a very big one coming up later on today out of Taylor Field in Regina.
Number 10, Ruoff, getting ready to kick that ball again, has not been consistent this year in his field goal attempts, and we were told by club officials that he reported to camp 10 pounds overweight this year, and it has bothered him, although he has improved in the latter part of the season.
He'll kick to McQuay and Bennett, going right to Paul Bennett. A flag is thrown on the kickoff. Paul Bennett all the way out to the 48-yard line, but a penalty marker was thrown shortly after the kick. Chuck Wills made the stop. It's 45 yards, the run back for Bennett.
Now the Winnipeg Blue Bombers coming up here, Ruoff to kick the ball, and the flag was thrown here. We can't see the penalty here, but it could be the Winnipeg Blue Bombers offside. Bennett coming back with a good return here. I think the adrenaline running a little bit after he dropped that ball, giving the Winnipeg Blue Bombers an opportunity to get their third touchdown. And it was offside Winnipeg. It will stand, and now Toronto has the ball at the 43.
With Clint Longley coming on at quarterback. In relief of Chuck Ely, who's failed to move this Argonaut team for more than a single field goal. Longley, who likes to throw, goes to work right away, pops it up and is picked out by Vince Faison. Faison run down by Kirk from behind, but the Bombers get another turnover at the 42-yard line. The 7th Toronto turnover of the day.
Well, Longley coming in for his first play of this ball game, trying to go to Linderman. They've been going to him all afternoon, can't find other receivers. He goes to the outside trying to run a short corner, but Lee Bernard tips that ball over top of number 8. And Vince Faison, number 9, was there for the reception, making a good return with the 7th turnover the Argonauts have given up. Calvin Kirk running Faison down, but Longley's more of a gambler than Chuck Ely. Ely likes to run on first down, pass when necessary. Longley came right up and put that ball in the air.
Here's Richard Crump. He was hit by Jimmy Corrigal around the 30-yard line and should have enough for the first down. Yes, they wave the yardsticks on. The Argonauts in deep trouble right now. Lamar Leachman with head coach Leo Cahill. Their team trails Winnipeg 21-3, having given the ball to the Bombers on 7 occasions today.
Now Lamar Leachman giving the defensive signals out there, standing beside Coach Cahill, quite concerned at this point in the ballgame.
Brock to Crump near the 25-yard line. That'll be good for about 8 Winnipeg, or 3 Winnipeg Blue Bomber yards. Ray Nettles was there, number 57. He had Tom Scott going downfield, who was open for a while, but he's gone with a short passing game much of the day. He got away from it for a while, but now appears to be back in that groove.
Don, I was just going to say that. You have to admire Ralph Brock this afternoon, because even with this wind, which allows you to throw that ball out there, he's stuck with the game plan of throwing it short, even in these situations, and has been very successful for him.
But 2 Argonauts got tangled up in there. Thomas, number 26, and Harris, number 16, and that denied the interception. The receiver was Mike Holmes that Brock was trying to hit. So it goes to 3rd down. The Argonauts right now are so uptight and so over anxious about previous mistakes they have made that they're simply making more mistakes as they go along.
Bernie Ruoff, minus that 10 pounds he had at the beginning of the year, in to attempt another field goal, and we have a timeout here with one of the Winnipeg Blue Bomber players kneeling on the ground.
It's Lee Brock who will be getting some assistance now as the training staff comes out to help him.
And number 55, Steve Scully, who is a defensive lineman from Syracuse University, a big kid, big Canadian kid that they are working in slowly in that offense and defense, will come in to replace Lee Brock for this field goal attempt.
Will come from the 33-yard line. Brock holding. Wind caught it and went wide. It'll bounce past the dead ball line for one more Winnipeg point. And so the Bombers up their lead to 22-3. John Bonk and McIver doing a little mixing together out there as that field goal curved wide, and that is a 19-point Blue Bomber lead with 5 minutes, 1 second remaining here in the third quarter at Toronto. The Argonauts, a dismayed lot over at their bench, coming off, as we mentioned, 3 in a row and 4 victories out of 5. The Bombers off a tough loss to the Eskimos at Clark Stadium on Monday, 31-24.
Longley still in at quarterback.
And he's throwing that win. Faison makes it 2 for 2. 2 interceptions for him today. And the ball is now in Winnipeg hands at the 38-yard line. Turnover number 8. Longley's thrown 2. He's had 2 picked off.
And Faison bringing that one back 30 yards, and Longley trying to throw deep into this wind, and having been in that position many times, it's rather difficult. He put that thing up almost in orbit, you might say. You have liftoff, and Faison was just waiting for it there as Slade Willis had no opportunity to reach for the ball or prevent Faison from intercepting it. So Longley's 2 for 2, but in the wrong way, I guess.
Not many punts have traveled that high. Here's Jay Washington. Tries to make his cut to the outside, was slowed down by Eric Harris, and Corrigal came in to give him some assistance there, and that's going to limit the Blue Bomber gain to about 2 to 3 yards.
Don, what amazes me with Washington carrying that ball again is the fact with all these turnovers that Winnipeg, getting the ball in excellent field position, has not been able to really put the game out of reach. Argos are still within 3 converted touchdowns, but Winnipeg could have put this ball game so far out of reach by this time that it would have been nigh impossible for Winnipeg to come back, or for Toronto to come back.
It's awfully tough as it stands right now. Here's Brock. That's picked up. Eric Harris to the 38-yard line. Then a face guard is called against the Bombers, it appears. Richard Crump came in to make the tackle and might have grabbed for the face guard of Eric Harris in the process. There's referee Bill Dell to confirm the penalty.
Have a face mask against Winnipeg. Be a first down.
So they will move it up to the 54-yard line. The Argonauts will start there as they escaped with a return interception, having given the ball up themselves just moments before in a long throw by Clint Longley.
Leo Cahill talking to Chuck Ely, whom I think some of the fans might have expected was going to come in on this series.
It is Longley again. His first 2 are picked off. This one is complete. That is Kirk getting upended for a first down, a gain of about 15 yards by Vince Faison.
You have to admire number 12's confidence. He's thrown a TD pass and had 3 interceptions, 2 of them today, and has thrown 50% in the few appearances he's had. But after throwing 2 interceptions, he knows you must throw when you're this far behind, even going into this win. This time throwing a short one on the line over the middle, about 15 yards downfield to Kirk coming over the middle, and good pass protection for him.
Longley lobs it high and out of bounds. Nobody near the ball. So it is 22-3 Winnipeg. We have approximately 2.5 minutes left here in the third quarter.
Celebrate, celebrate, celebrate K-Tel's incomparable 3 Dog Night, a fantastic new album, 20 original super hits. These are the big hits. Uniquely Three Dog Night. From soft rock to their million sellers. This is the incredible Three Dog Night. Let's let the show go on. Solid gold.
Child is black, and child is white.
Hit after hit after hit. Three Dog Night, the album you've been waiting for. One of the hot ones, $6.99 from K-Tel. Tape or cassette, $7.99.
Available at Wilco, Woolworth, Sellers, Metropolitan, Towers, Sam the Record Man, Gamble's, and McLeod. Also at the Bay, Woodward's, and Eaton's.
Well, the Toronto Argonauts have got some point scoring to do to get back into this game. They trail 22-3. Longley in for Chuck Ely again. This is second down. There goes the ball again. Turnover number 9. No, the Argonauts have it back. They have given the ball up 8 times today. Mike Wilson, the right tackle offensively for Toronto, made the recovery that time, but it leaves the Argonauts third down and 14.
Don, it gets tougher and tougher for that offensive line of the Argonauts. The Winnipeg defense, knowing that Argonauts must go to the air, can just take a toehold in this artificial turf and come on like gangbusters, and that's what they've been doing. Bud Riley looking on from the sideline, but you can see the great pressure by all the defensive linemen on Longley as he gets the ball knocked away from him, trying to move up into the pocket.
Away from Rozalowicz at the 10-yard line. Now he moves in. No yards called against Rick Silvietta of Toronto, and moves over to challenge the official, but there appeared to be little doubt that he was only 3 yards away from Rozalowicz as the ball arrived.
Don, that happened right below us, and the official had a good call. The ball bounced back. Dell will tell us. The ball did bounce back towards Silvietta as it comes back here, and you can watch where he is now. He is within, as he's picking the ball up, he moved up that step, which brought him within the 5-yard restraining area. If he'd stayed back, he might have been outside.
Well, again, the over-anxiousness I mentioned on the part of the Toronto Argonauts in this situation is hurting them. Turnovers, mistakes, and penalties. Richard Crump still going at the 35-yard line, works hard to get his 5 yards. Argos, I think we're offside. It might have been this man right here. Comet Burley, number 62, made a bit of a jump at his defensive tackle spot.
Again, the quickness of this Argo defensive line getting him into trouble.
Offside, 62 Toronto.
Well, there's confirmation. We'll get a chance to see Burley move early on the right here.
Right, Don, on the right of the screen here. Burley will move. The offense doesn't. There it is, just before the snap. Call for offside. No movement by the offensive guard. A good call by the official, giving Winnipeg a 1st and 5 situation at their own 35 with just over a minute left in this third quarter.
192!
Jay Washington, but another marker is down. He gained 8 yards. It will stand as the Argonauts once again appear to be offside. This time it might have been Granny Liggins. Don't forget, the World Series coming up just as soon as this football game is completed here this afternoon. The Yankees lead the Dodgers 3-1. It'll be Don Gullett and Don Sutton, the scheduled starting pitchers. We'll have it for you right after the ball game. So the offside declined. The gain stands at the 43-yard line. The Bombers work first down from there. Less than a minute. There's the flag up in the third quarter. Washington. He's gaining steam as he goes along in the second half here. Reaching out for about an 8 or 9 yarder that time. Lauren Richardson contained him. Jerry Washington with 52 yards and 14 carries today.
Well, we look at the offensive huddle of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Holmes, number 70 there, has had a good afternoon along with the other pass receivers, going with that short game and being very successful versus this Argo defense that is getting a little frustrated right now, I believe.
Little rattle, little over-anxious, as we've been saying. It's second down and 1. The Bombers have played very, very well. For the first down goes Washington, and he's got it near midfield, the 54. So this Bomber drive is going to continue. The clock down to just 1 second. So this could be it, and then the important change of ends for the fourth quarter and a change of wind conditions favoring the Argonauts in the fourth quarter.
But Winnipeg in a good field position now at midfield. If they do have to punt into that wind, we'll start the Toronto team relatively deep in their own end, barring a good run back or any miscue by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Brock underthrew Tom Scott. He was backpedaling, the ball thrown at his boot tops, and he couldn't bring it in. And there's the gun at the end of the third quarter. The score is Winnipeg 22 and Toronto 3.
Nobody's got it like Pontiac's got it. Nobody's got it like Pontiac.
Pontiac introduces an entirely new family of automobiles, the Le Mans series for 1978. Pontiac Le Mans, Grand Le Mans, and Grand Am. The most scientifically designed road cars in the history of Pontiac. Trimmer than the 77 Le Mans, with room for 6. All new for 1978 Le Mans.
Nobody's got it like Pontiac.
You got it, Pontiac.
Nobody's got it like Pontiac's got it. Nobody's got it like Pontiac's got it. Nobody's got it like Pontiac's got it.
Next Saturday, it's the Philadelphia Flyers and Toronto Maple Leafs on Hockey Night in Canada. Bill Hewitt, Brian McFarland, and Dave Hodge bring you all the action as the Flyers meet the Leafs next Saturday on Hockey Night in Canada.
Well, I'm sure Leo Cahill will not be proud of the fact that his team had a total net offense of 4, count them, 4 yards in that third quarter.
Matches the temperature.
Pretty close, Tom. Ralph Brock. He lost the ball to an Argonaut. They give it back to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who maintain possession on third down. It's been that kind of an afternoon. Ball bouncing from team to team all over the field. Jay Washington came up with it. Burley made the original strip of the ball that brought it free, and then it bounced back and forth.
Brock going back to throw that ball, and pretty good pressure from this Argo defensive line. We were wondering if they could continue to come on, and as he went forward, he tried to slide past Burley, who grabbed his elbow, and the ball came out, and fortunately, Jay Washington was there to fall on it. And here's a high, short punt by Ruoff. It gets a good bounce.
Calvin Kirk, taken down by Richard Crump. He lost the ball. Kirk has it again. He's given up about 12 yards and taken a lot of abuse physically on that exchange.
I'll tell you, they are hitting down there right now. And again, the Argonauts, who have dropped this ball many times on punts and field goal misses, again having problems with a good bounce there. Number 33, Crump, really made Calvin Kirk pay initially. Kirk got back up, picked the ball up, and then he really took it again from Crump, and not too often you get 2 shots at the same guy on one play, but Crump did that time and made them both very, very hard hits.
There's Lumsden with Chuck Ely back in at quarterback, getting out for about 5 yards, halfway to a first down. Russ, anytime you want to start singing, we'll just follow the bouncing ball on the field here and go along with you.
We have a couple of Winnipeg Blue Bomber players down here, number 52 Walters, and I believe it's number 78 Toogood. I think Walters is just fixing his shoe.
Jim Heighton
it's Heighton, number 58.
Well, injuries have been a big factor for Winnipeg, as Bud Riley said. Everybody in the West, certainly, and many in the East, picked the Blue Bombers to win. He said, really, we were not that solid to begin the season, and the injuries didn't make things any better.
Well, he was talking about his offensive line. This time it's part of his defensive line. Heighton making the hit on Neil Lumsden here. Seems to go down in the middle of the pile and gets caught underneath everybody, and they're still working on him. Maybe he just had the wind knocked out of him when someone came down on his back after he made the initial hit on Neil Lumsden.
Well, you know, Russ, we've talked an awful lot about the turnovers, about 10 of them today. We might hit the dozen for the turnovers, open a big shop. But you've played in weather like this. The thing that's killing these players, I think, is the wind, because it's so strong and it's so bitterly cold. Thank goodness it isn't raining.
Right through Leon McQuay's hands, and he has to cover up.
Well, Tom, you just mentioned it, and we see another one where we almost had a turnover, but it does get cold down there. The hands get cold. It's very difficult to keep them warm, and when I used to play a lot of years ago, we used to wear a muff on the front of our sweaters and just stand in the huddle with our hands in that muff, just trying to keep the hands warm. And I'm surprised that maybe some of these players aren't using that this afternoon, although maybe they expect it to be a little warmer. Bud Riley keeping warm on the sideline, the head coach of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Wait till it gets really cold in about a month or so.
Then they'll never drop the ball.
3rd down and 12. Andrusichin with the wind. Gets a bounce back to the Bomber 37, Rosalowicz.
Got some running room. Yes, sir.
Down to the 45, and the Bombers are in good shape again. Leo Lumsden, number 32, there for the tackle.
Now, there's a time when the punt by Zenon traveled a great distance. It was not very high. It was a 57-yard punt. It gave the punt returner a lot of time to bring it back with the coverage not getting down there, and he brought it back 35 yards for only a net difference of 22 yards.
I like Tom's line a minute ago, lest it got drowned out by the crowd. Enough turnovers to open a big shot. Brock to Patterson. And he appears to have a first down in the area of the 33.
Brock a little slow getting up as he rolled out to the right and took the penalty. Paid the price for rolling out, going all to the right, all the motion. Brock will go out, and the man he originally he will throw to is actually blocking for him at this time. It looks like he's maybe going to run. Patterson released off the linebacker 35 and just dumped it to number 34, Patterson, for the first down.
260!
Here's Richard Crump. Broke one tackle, then gets dragged forward on his momentum. The ball might have come loose in there as they plow in for it. The Argonauts claim they picked it up, but the play apparently was whistled dead around the 27-yard line. So the Bombers will get a gain of about 5.
On that previous play, number 34, Patterson showed very good how he could get out there, block for him initially, as we see Corrigal lying on the ground. Block for him initially, then release and take the short pass for the first down when Brock attempted to run with the ball.
Well, you mentioned the healthy state of the front four of Toronto. Jim Corrigal down. Of course, this is not an unusual occurrence to see Corrigal down. He's had more injuries throughout his career, and he's had to bounce back several times.
Well, Brock handing off to number 33, Crump, and trying to hang on to him here. He's hanging on to the offensive tackle, trying to get out there for the first down. But we'll be back in just a moment.
Pontiac has always passed down something special to every generation of its cars.
Pontiac Phoenix.
A compact car in the spirited Pontiac tradition, giving you the good looks you can be proud of.
Pontiac Phoenix.
Pontiac's lowest price 6-passenger car, asserting its heritage in every line. Pontiac Phoenix.
Pontiac Phoenix. Where you want to go.
When Teleprompter, cable television company, demonstrates their reception, they obviously want their picture to look as good as it possibly can. Out of all the television sets in the country, guess which one they use? Exclusively. That's right. It's a Sony.
Back at Exhibition Stadium, that's Jim Corrigal behind the medical people over at the Toronto bench. He had the wind knocked out of him. He might have some bruised ribs. Other than that, nothing serious. Nothing wrong with the legs. They were both wiggling.
Here's Jay Washington getting a first down for the Blue Bombers, stepping into touch around the 15-yard line.
Don, just a great block by Butch Norman, number 66, on Mike Logan, number 7, trying to come up and make that tackle. The offensive tackle, watch number 66, will pick him up, and here it comes on Mike Logan, number 7, an open field block by an offensive tackle, allowing Washington to get around that corner and forcing Eric Harris, number 16, to push him out of bounds on the Argonauts' 16-yard line. So when you get a tackle around like that, clean, as Butch Norman, number 66, was able to do on that last play, and gets a super block on the safety coming up to make the tackle, you've got to gain yards.
First down, Winnipeg. Out of the I formation, the second back is Richard Crump. And Crump reaches into the 11. He's got about 5. Lauren Richardson made the tackle, number 27. The Blue Bombers with 7 points in each of the first 2 quarters, and then 8 in the third quarter. Washington was down for a moment there. Here's Corrigal coming back in, number 79. So as Tom said, he was just winded before. Winnipeg leads at 22-3. Pressing for additional points right here. Mark McDonald going wide right. Holmes on the left side. Brock has it knocked out of his arm. It's picked up by the Argonauts at the 25-yard line. Wayne Smith made the recovery as Brock was trying to throw. Burley came in, I believe, Russ, and knocked the ball loose.
Well, Burley knocked it free earlier, and again it's Burley who came in this time, and as Brock is trying to move up into the pocket to throw the ball, Burley makes a good pass over John Bach, and he will just knock the ball out of his hand as he's trying to deliver, and there goes the butterfly fluttering away to Wayne Smith.
So the turnovers continue here on this cold afternoon in Toronto. Neil Lumsden starts out. Gets only a couple around the 27. Billy Howard got him. Howard, who had a slight cut earlier in the game, has come back and played exceptionally well defensively at right tackle for the Winnipeg Football Club today.
He's playing his second game with this team, having played against Edmonton last week, and has adjusted very well, playing very strong in there this afternoon.
Chuck Ely.
Look out, here he goes. Look out.
Ely taken down across the 40-yard line after a big first down run by Chuck Wills.
And when Chuck Ely goes here, it's interesting to watch number 32 Lumsden and Bill Ferguson, number 72, come together, because they met head-on earlier when Lumsden was trying to catch a pass, and Lumsden gets even here as he gets a real good block coming in here on number 72. We'll see it right there. Lumsden allowed Ely to get another 7 or 8 yards, blocking Ferguson, number 72.
Here it is to Leon McQuay, who can't get outside. Good reaction by Jim Hyten. Cut him down in full flight as he made his break for the free area outside. And so it's going to be a loss on the play of 1.5 yards. 8 minutes and 45 seconds remain now. It is 22-3 for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
And a reminder, we'll be joining the World Series game right after this ball game is completed here at Exhibition Stadium.
For Linderman, it is tipped and nearly into the hands of the Bomber defender, Chuck Wills. It goes incomplete, third down, 11.5, and the Argonaut drive is stalled again.
Well, in isolation, Linderman, who's been the #1 receiver for Toronto this afternoon, goes down in behind the linebackers. Ely throwing a little high and behind him, and he takes a pretty good shot from that guy who hits anybody in his area, number 30, Brian Hiroshin.
Sometimes he hits people who aren't even in his area.
Well, he had 1.5 years with the Baltimore Colts to start his professional career and has been a real addition to the Winnipeg defensive secondary.
That's Richard Crump.
Look out.
Crump to the outside, got a block. It's called a
good
good. They ruled out a clip thrown by Toogood. We'll hopefully get a chance to look at it again. It's going to negate the run back of Richard Crump. As Crump got all the way down inside the Argonaut 30-yard line, but apparently for naught. We're midway in the fourth quarter. It's 22-3 for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Electrohome for 1978 brings to television a new dimension in color. Electrocolor. Whites on television are often muddied with tints of red or blue or green. We call this color pollution. Electrocolor is designed to eliminate color pollution, to give you incredibly pure white and the most beautiful natural color you will ever experience. Color with the Electrohome 3-year warranty. Electrocolor, the new dimension in color from Electrohome.
Well, they've taken the ball back inside the 25-yard line, and let's see this clip. Watch. Toogood for Winnipeg.
Number 24, Bragagnola. They say he hit him from behind. It's close. He hit him on the number 2, and he had his back turned a little bit, but a tough call on the official. We jumped on it early and said we didn't think it was a clip. It's questionable, and we'll give the official the benefit of the doubt, not having been that close to the play.
Washington slips down right there. Let's check in with Tom McKee.
And right there, folks, is what it's like in Los Angeles, because that's where this 5th game of the 1977 World Series is taking place. They're just introducing the players now. The Yankees are on the field. Don Gullett will be pitching for them. We'll keep you up to date as long as this football game goes on here at Exhibition Stadium. And then as soon as this football game is over, we're going to switch out to Los Angeles. So
would you like some peanuts, Tom? Right?
No, it's okay right now. I'll call you up when I want something. Okay?
All right. Here's Washington, makes his cut to the outside. Richardson, he lost his footing in front of Richardson as he was setting himself to make the tackle, but he appears to have a Blue Bomber first down. Washington by far the top ground gainer on either team in this game today. Now gone past the 75-yard mark. Got a total of 76 so far. There it is in 18 carries.
Don, they're getting ready for those national anthems, and Gullett will be pitching against Don Sutton of the Dodgers. Should be a good game.
First down with 6:29 remaining in this game. That is Crump being taken down by Bennett around the 39-yard line. That'll be a gain of 3 for the Blue Bombers, who are taking away valuable time from the Argonauts on this running game they've been executing.
Winnipeg happy to run with the ball, this time coming out on number 77, Wayne Smith. Again, they double team him, keep him to the inside with Patterson, and then newcomer Jeff Hart, number 67, turning him well to the inside, but number 44, Brain, moved up and helped with the tackle.
And Washington gets out to the area of the 44-yard line, although he's going to be short of a first down this time by a couple. The Blue Bombers have done their job. They've maintained control. They've killed off some time, and now Bernie Ruoff on third down at about 3 or 2.5 comes in with a punt return, or the punting team, as the Bombers lead it 22-3. 5:48 left now, and you might call the scene here at Exhibition Stadium Exodus, as the fans head for the exits. At the 40-yard line, it goes to Bennett, waiting for it now, hoping to draw the Bombers in. And he did.
He can't do that, Don. He made a motion, and they're calling that no yards, but he made a motion to pick that ball up, and you're not supposed to be able to do that on returning punts anymore.
Well, here it is.
No yards, number 61, Winnipeg. Sorry.
It's quite all right.
I'll say sorry to someone that big as well, but watch number 20, Bennett, as he reaches for this ball, makes like he's going to pick it right there.
Sure.
Now, you're not allowed to do that because that is intentionally drawing the other team into the restraining area, the same as intentionally drawing them offside by a quarterback.
Well, the official who threw the flag was behind him, and he may not have seen that gesture. So from the 46, Toronto will begin with 5:07 remaining. Longley throwing for Kirk. No good. Threw his hands on the sidelines in front of the Argonaut bench. Well, it's difficult to explain this game of football as Clint Longley gets ready for a second down call. Here's a team that scores 43 points on Monday, and through almost 4 quarters of their next game can muster only 3. Longley 1 for 5 today. He has given up 2 interceptions. His first 2 were picked off by the Bombers.
Both by number 9, Vince Faison.
Up for it goes Faison with Kirk. It is incomplete. So 3rd down and 10. The Argonauts stall once again. The Bombers with their alert defensive play and the Argonauts with their misfired execution have given Toronto one of its most dismal offensive outings of the entire season.
Don, it's unfair to judge number 12, Clint Longley, in this situation because the defense of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers knows exactly what he has to do, and it makes it very difficult for him to be very successful. It's one of those unfortunate situations, but having been there many times, you must throw the ball. You know the defense knows that, and it's difficult to get too many completions.
Half expecting a no-yards flag there, but it was not forthcoming. With the bounce, the roll, it traveled 55 yards. Rozalowicz grounds it at the 13-yard line with 4 minutes and 13 seconds to play. Don't forget the World Series, the game not underway yet out in Los Angeles. We'll be getting it to you just as soon as this game becomes official here. And we're just over 4 minutes away from Winnipeg Blue Bombers claiming a very important victory.
They're just introducing the officials, the umpires down there in Los Angeles. I got a trivia question for you in a minute.
That is going to be perhaps just a little bit short of a first down. There's Jay Washington up now to the 85-yard mark on the day. What's your question, Tom?
My question has to do with baseball. Pee Wee Reese was the man who threw out the first ball. What's his real name, first name? Any idea?
Shorty?
No, it's Harold, believe it or not.
Harold.
You heard it here.
Okay.
I know we wouldn't have heard it anywhere else.
Here's Crump. He's taken down again, maybe just short of the first down. Lauren Richardson made the stop for Toronto, and right away Bud Riley sends in his punting team. They'll give the ball back to the Argonauts and try to hold them off in the remaining 3 minutes and 10 seconds. The Argo hopes are almost erased here now, trailing by 19 and just over 3 minutes to play.
And this was a big game for the Toronto Argonauts. If they had won this particular ball game, they could have guaranteed themselves a playoff spot.
Big charge, and it's blocked. Into the end zone. Logan going after it. Touchdown, Toronto. Was picked up by Richard Lewis, number 35. Eric Harris blocked it.
Well, Ruoff taking a little time here to get the ball away. 1, 2. On the third step, he kicks it. And there we have Eric Harris, number 16, blocking this, and he almost caught it before it hit the ground. Mike Logan goes for it, but it's Richard Lewis, number 35, who comes up with it in the end zone. It might be too little, too late, although we can probably expect a short kickoff from the Toronto Argonauts after they attempt this convert. But that could have been one of the funniest touchdowns we've ever seen, with him blocking it and catching it before it hit the ground, if Harris had been able to catch up with it. But Lewis did, and the Argos get their first touchdown of the afternoon.
There it is, the point after through by Zenon Andrusician. Remember last Sunday at the Olympic Stadium, the near successful comeback engineered by Ronnie Lancaster. Don't go away. It's 22-10, 2 minutes and 45 seconds left.
K-Tel presents the very best in country music. A great new album, 20 original hits, original superstar, Ronnie Milsap.
Stand by
Clark.
Thank God in Greyhound you're gone.
Don Williams.
You're my best friend.
Carol Baker.
I've never been this far before.
The Outlaws, Waylon and Willie.
Good-hearted woman.
Barbara Mandrell, Freddie Fender, Donna Fargo, Tommy Overstreet, Narvel Phelps, Billy Crash Craddock, and Mickey Gilly.
I overlooked an orchid.
George Jones.
Her name is
Mo Bandy.
Here I am, I'm drunk again.
The very best in country music. One of the hot ones from KTEL. $6.99. Tape or cassette, $7.99.
Available at Woolco, Woolworths, Zellers, Metropolitan, Towers, Sam the Record Man, Gambles and McLeod, also at the Bay, Woodwards, and Eaton's.
The Bombers lead cut to 12 at 22:10. There's the time remaining, and everybody here is looking for the Argonauts to execute the short kickoff. The Bombers have all sorts of receivers up there on that front wall. Coswin phasing up there. Here it is. It has gone to 10 yards. That's a free ball. The Argonauts had it, and Coswin had it. He lost it. They're claiming it's going either way.
It's Argonauts.
Argonauts will have the ball.
I would question the way Winnipeg defense that, because Zenit had the ball teed up way over on the right sideline, and they had all their men in the middle of the field. They left out here where the ball was kicked up in the air. You can see the Argonaut player going down there, Linderman, and knocking the receiver off the ball. And as Winnipeg picks it up here now,
that's Coswin. He lost it. He had the ball.
He loses it again, and the Argonauts get the ball.
Rudy Linderman came in to make the recovery for Toronto. 2:41 left. The Argonauts first down. The 43 of the Blue Bombers.
And Coswin was the only person really over there in an area to receive that ball, with about 3 Argonauts coming down on him.
Here's Clint Longley at quarterback. He's going deep toward the end zone.
We got an interception here.
Merv Walker picks it off for the Blue Bombers.
Look out, he's got some running room.
Walker's taken down. And the Blue Bombers win a big turnover. That is turnover number 9 or 10 for Toronto. Let's make it 9.
Merv Walker leads the West in interceptions with 5 coming into the game. He now has 6, and there's a flag on the field as well. He now has his 6th interception, and he played here in Toronto for a few years and got away to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Erosion.
He won't
really
get the ball back
either.
there.
But the ball was thrown rather poorly by Longley. He laid it up there.
We have an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty for Toronto.
Unsportsmanlike conduct for something stated by the Argonauts after that play.
But Longley had good protection, but he laid the ball up there like a wounded duck, and number 21 Slade Willis was nowhere where he could get that ball, and Walker picks it up. But Walker got away from the Toronto Argonauts when he was put on waivers, and they forgot to put him on waivers with recall. And when they put him on waivers 3 years ago, he was picked up by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who have turned him into a good Canadian cornerback.
Flag is thrown. Brock taken down back of the 35.
Well, Doug McIver, number 42.